Hey guys, Spencer Shuffield here. As you can see, we got nasty weather out here today. If it lightens up a little bit, we're gonna go out here and see if we can't catch a few. But in the meantime, I want to talk to you about 3 of my go-tos this time of year in the fall. The waters are dropping pretty quickly right now. It's pretty cold out here today, low 50s, upper 40s. But I want to show you a few of the things that I really like, and these are my top 3. Number 1 would be a hardcore Minnow Flat 110. I throw this in a lot of different places this time of year, but the main one is I like throwing it out over points wherever there's brush, standing timber. Seems like this time of year a lot of the fish will pull up out of the river channels in our lakes. Out on a lot of these big long points, there'll be brush piles that a lot of people have put out, or you'll have standing timber that's down like 15 to 20 foot below the surface, and these fish will really school up on the very ends of these points this time of year and just sit on a piece of cover, as it be a tall tree or a piece of brush, and I'll throw this jerkbait. It gets down to about 7 foot, and I work it really erratic this time of year. A lot of quick snaps, and I don't like to pause it very much because the water's still pretty warm, so you have to make them react. So I'll pull out on these points. I use my Garmin LiveScope to see exactly where these fish are sitting out over the ends of these points, and I'll make multiple casts to them with jerkbait. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 casts, but what you'll see is after you make a couple casts, if not the first cast, the second or third cast, usually they'll start really rising up, and they'll just get all over it. They'll start fighting over it. This is probably my top color right here. It's just a real natural shad color. This is one of my favorite ones, but on like a real bright sunny day, I tend to throw these more natural colors more often, but on a day like we have today, or if I'm somewhere we got a little dirtier water, I'll throw this one here. This is the citrus shad, and it's a loud color. You got to kind of be a little different this time of year because there's so many shad that pull up this time of year. You'll have just thousands and thousands of shad that will pull up on the end of these points too. And so if you throw something that really just blends in with the shad, it's hard to stand out. And so if I can't get them on the real natural color, I'll go to this loud color like this, and usually that'll always get you a couple. Now, after I throw this jerkbait usually out over the points and get these fish caught up and catch 2 or 3, they'll usually quit biting it. They really keen in on it. They pick up on what you're doing, and what I'll do after I catch 3 to 5 fish on a jerkbait, I'll lay it down and I go to the drop shot. And this is just a 6-inch robo worm, straight tail. It's not the fat, it's just a regular straight tail. And this here is Margarita Mutilator. For some reason in like the summertime, I like the red, the Morning Dawn, the Hologram Dawn. Those are my favorite colors. But this time of year, this purple, I don't know why. It's just something about purple is better in the fall for me, especially here on our lakes. And after you quit catching them on the jerkbait, I'll go to this drop shot, and you can always catch 2 to 5 more on the drop shot. And I'll just pitch it out there to them, let it go all the way. You'll see them. I mean, they're really suspended bad this time of year, usually 10 to 15 foot up off the bottom. I'll watch this drop shot go right through the school, and you just let it keep going, and they'll chase it to the bottom. And usually when it gets to the bottom, you just kind of shake it a couple times real lightly, not moving the weight, just the worm, and they'll get it. And you can usually catch a good one on the drop shot after you've quit catching them on the jerkbait. So on this drop shot, I use a size 1 Gamagatu drop shot split shot hook. That's the one I always use. Now if I'm somewhere where the water's really clear and I'm catching smallmouth or spots a lot of times, and I feel like the hook size makes a difference as far as the fish being able to see it, I'll go to the size 2. I never go bigger than the size 1 though. This is an ARC tungsten. This is a 5/16 tungsten drop shot weight, and that's my setup for it. As you can see, I got about a 12 or a 13-inch drop here. I don't usually go much longer than that. I will go shorter sometimes, but only if I'm really shallow, like if I'm throwing a drop shot and 10 foot or less. A lot of times I'll go to like an 8 to 10-inch drop, and I'll drop down to a 1/4 ounce weight. But that's the setup for the drop shot right there. So those are my 2 favorite on this time of year out deeper in the deeper water. I like the drop shot and the jerkbait. Now when I go shallow, I start running like the backs of creeks, the back of pockets that's got live ditches running into the back of them, where you might have a little water flow, or a little channel that meanders around back to the very back or coming out of the back. A lot of fish will push it all the way in the backs of these ditches and creeks on our lakes this time of year, and that's where I go to the square bill. This here is the SR65 hardcore crankbait, and this is citrus shad as well. It's my favorite color. This is the one I throw because usually when you get in the backs of these ditches, you've got a little watercolor. We're getting a lot of rain this time of year, as you can see today, so we get a little watercolor in the backs of these ditches. This is a crankbait. I throw on those fish back there is a square bill, and I fish it pretty fast. I hold my rod up. This is 16-pound Yozuri T7. And you'll see these fish in the backs of these ditches a lot of time. They'll be blowing up on the shad and things like that. But anywhere there's isolated piece of wood out in the middles of these pockets that's washed in, or little grass patches or anything like that, or in the areas where you see these fish blowing up, I'll throw this square bill in them. And like I said, hold my rod up, reel it pretty quick, and they'll get it. I mean, it's excellent. I mean, it really catches them good in the backs of those ditches. So those are my 3 favorite presentations in the fall time. Check them out in your lakes, and hopefully you catch more fish with them.